The start of free agency has come and gone in the post-Masai Ujiri era. Kind of feels exactly the same.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing will.
This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, Wes, Fab, and okay, we're gonna dive into a lot of things here. We're gonna talk some Raps free agency, winners, losers, all that, but we kind of have to put a bow on this Masai thing. And let's just start with the question. Are the Raptors better off without Masai Ujiri?
I don't even know how to answer that. I don't think they're missing as much as a lot of people think now that Masai is kind of out the fold. Made one of the best trades in Raptors franchise history, helped them get a title. Like, we got a chip because of that poker move he made to acquire Kawhi Leonard.
And also, everything else that's set up to get to that point, and then like the Gasol trade, all of those things, more than just the deal.
And the non-trade of Kyle Lowry, which was close to happening as well. So a lot of things
Can't give him credit for that, though. That was Dolan pulling the plug last second.
Sure,
right?
But either way, a lot of things happened that led and culminated into a title. There was a core built, good development of younger players, and there was hope that that would carry on for years to come. Since COVID, since the Raptors went to Tampa and all that sort of thing, I mean, I don't really agree with a lot of the moves that were made. I think a lot of them were kind of poor. We were a rudderless ship at one point. The Raptors, they didn't know which direction to go.
I feel that honestly, that's it. He's lost his fastball. Seems like that. They're still kind of a rudderless ship.
I agree.
Right to this day. Wes, are you happy he's gone? What do you think?
I mean, look, Fab, I know you got some thoughts. I'll tell you how I feel about the future of it, but
Well,
what do you think?
to answer your question about whether they're better off, I can't answer that because I don't know who the president's going to be. And it really comes down to how much do you trust the new regime with controlling the Raptors? Keith Pelly, Ed Rogers, are they going to invest into basketball? Are they going to be a tax-paying team when the time comes? I don't know the answer to those questions. Also, Bobby's the GM right now, and I can't separate the decisions he used to make from what Masai used to make. Yeah. So I don't know how to separate, who wanted what between the two of them. I don't know that.
But fair to say that Masai, as president, had to stamp every decision
Absolutely.
made. So
the final say was his, for sure.
So there could have been dissent between Bobby Webster, Dan Tolzman, Masai Ujiri, but ultimately Masai is the face of the franchise, highest paid executive in the NBA. He's going to be the guy that green stamps a lot of the moves. And because of that, I can call him out for a lot of the moves that he made that I don't agree with.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the post-title stuff, we can go through it if you want.
Questionable.
Yeah, Wes, I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, my main point is really talking about going forward. I think to answer, are they going to be better off? We're just not going to know the answer for at least 2 more seasons, maybe 3 more seasons, because all the chips are in for how the Raptors are set up now. Like, extensions have been made. Brandon Ingram, he's been signed on. That was his big play before he's left the team. So whoever ends up taking over, Bobby Webster takes over, what moves are left? One trade, one, amalgamated trade to get another piece that's a fit piece. But the team that they have, this is it. There's really nothing. There's nothing else they can do.
But then doesn't that answer the question for us? And that if this is what your all in looks like, this is like 6'7" suited. Like, if that's what your all in looks like, then you must be better moving forward. If this is what you're left with.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like you just have to now sit and watch. Like, that's all you can do now. It's really hard to evaluate until all the how much tax is going to be paid in the future. What type of how much risk tolerance is it going to be to tear it all down. We don't know.
So Webster and Tolzman right now are extended to the 26-27 season. This year is a big one. The Raptors are entering the season, if everything stands pat, as of, July 2nd? First, I don't even know what date it is.
It is the second.
It's the second.
Tell them, you were deep into free agent frenzy with the NHL yesterday, so I know you're just the fog is just clearing. Your boy traded for Mitch Marner.
Good move for them. Either way, I think to me it's just you're entering this year. They're signed past this next season. We don't know who the president's going to be. I don't think it'll be Bobby Webster. I think someone else will come in. I already kind of disagree with that dynamic.
Yeah, because then isn't that person just going to want their own GM?
I would want my own guys if I was the president. I think you put a little trust in them for a year, and then you kind of let them we'll see what happens. You evaluate at the end of their deals. This team, this iteration of this Raptors team, I have major issues with it. I still think they'll be good. I'm intrigued by the younger players. I do also believe that there is a brain trust that's in place that we can kind of trust when it comes to player development. A lot of the young guys. But you're asking a question where I think it all rides on this season. I think a lot rides on Darko. I think a lot rides on how these guys mesh together, because we can look at the roster now, go through the depth chart. What do you need? Well, it's a lot of guys who like the ball in their hands, and there's a lack of shooting.
And a lack of defense.
Well, and there's just a glut of wings who are, in terms of, okay, like there's going to be guys who just aren't going to be able to play as many minutes. And if they're young guys, that hampers their development. So I just think the roster definitely lacks balance, right? You don't have a true backup 5 after Pirtle. You have a glut of wings. I mean, quickly.
Oh, hating on Georgia's own? That's a good signing, man.
He still looks like a kind of a small ball center, though, right?
Honestly, I just because I was at the game where he lit up the Lakers. I'm like, man, like
I like the signing, man, especially for that term. I think he can actually give them some stuff.
Yeah.
26-year-old, you guys might have some juice.
Oh, there's some juice. I like
I like the juice. I get that signing. I think it makes sense from a positional standpoint, what it fits, what the Raptors need. A stretch 5 who can shoot the ball.
He's beefy too.
Yeah.
What I want to see, and we talked about this the other day, if I'm the Raptors, I'm looking at the roster, you're going through, I do agree, there's a lot of wing depth. They've got a lot of pieces. Like I would employ a Pacers type mentality with this team. I think the Pacers and Thunder kind of set the blueprint where we're going to play 10 to 12 guys on any given night. We're going to keep these guys fresh throughout the year, run them. I don't want anyone playing over 35 minutes. And in Darko's system, where I think the system is being more important than the pieces, because you look at the Raptors roster, I don't think they have any elite creation. I don't think Scotty Barnes is that guy. Another big year for that dude, because now there are no excuses. The mandate is to win. So I think if you want to get the most out of the current team, play these guys, play fast, a lot of pace, 10 to 12 guys a night, and see what you got. Because you have to feed these. You have to feed them a little bit.
Okay, Wes, I got a question for you. Let's go back. If we want to answer this question of are they better off for the future, let's move back. If Brandon Ingram is a free agent in this class, what type of contract is Brandon Ingram getting? And this also ties to, me and Fab were talking about it in the group chat with Pirtle. Why is it that the Raptors have to lose every contract that they give out? And it seems like they're overpaying.
You know why.
Yeah, but like...
You know why.
Yeah,
Like, so Toronto?
Sure.
But would you want to go to Toronto or Charlotte? Like, Toronto's a better market than a lot of markets. Sorry, Charlotte.
Tax purposes.
Yeah, but to answer your question about Brandon Ingram, so I don't know exactly what the contract amount would be if it happened right now in the offseason, but look at the fallout of that trade. Where did Kelly Olynyk go? Just shipped off to Washington. Where did Bruce Brown end up? Didn't even get fought for. The Denver's got him. Yeah. So Denver's obviously happy, but left for nothing. So what was New Orleans left with? They got nothing out of that. What's that 2026 first-round pick going to be? Raptors got 9th this year as a 30-win team. I don't think the Raptors are going to be 7th again. I think they're going to be a little bit better.
From the trade perspective, I think I think that's one thing. It's just the money of. I feel like looking back now, and after we saw, I feel like the center market, yes, you were paid, but other positions, people are afraid of the second apron. And I don't know if anybody giving Brandon Ingram 35.
So my finishing point to that is I think Masai's kind of lasting touch on this team. He made that call that like this is a guy he believes in more than the market does. Stamp. So the Raptors have to live with that gamble. And if you're a fan, that's what you have to watch it out. Now we haven't even seen him play a game.
I agree with you though in terms of they're coming out on the losing end of all these negotiations. Like. What justified quickly getting $32 million? Because he came in as a 6th man from New York and had like an okay half a season. Oh, have to give him 30 plus. Pirtle, we got to give the center who's going to be 34 a huge extension. Oh, Brandon Ingram, no one wanted you. $40 million.
Yeah.
Like why? Cumulatively, every guy is probably making 10 to 20% more. And that's the difference between having one more really good player on your team.
I think that's the tax you pay for being a team in Toronto, the one that's trying to lure people in. I know it's a tired trope.
It kind of is.
But I get it. Like I understand. You are definitely paying a premium on these guys.
Yak's not a free agent. Yak knows what Toronto is. So I'm saying, and I know Biggs with the Naz Reid sort of started this, and then everything sort of dominoed. But like. You're paying Yak $26 million.
Hold on. Before anything, we do have to acknowledge that the last year's partially guaranteed.
Yes, yeah.
That is a big difference in the contract.
So the reason Jakob Poeltl signed that trade, you're giving the Raptors flexibility for the next couple years. He's still around $19 million, and then the contract jumps up to like the higher 20s, right into the 30s.
But hold on, what's the most important thing for a big man? Spacing and rim protection. And Yak does neither of those.
I understand, but he's good at a lot of other things. He's average at rim protection, but he's good everywhere else across the board. I like Jakob Poeltl. I get it. I think on a better.
You once called him a top 10 center in the NBA.
So did Masai Ujiri. I think there's like on this Raptors team, I agree the fit is a little wonky, only considering the lack of shooting around him. But the dude does everything else. I compare him. I think he's in that Hartenstein.
Yeah, he's exactly that.
Yeah.
Hartenstein 3-year, $90 million. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Screen
he's obviously
setter,
an older version of that.
Outlet valve, can pass, can hit the floater. Good culture guy. I think the Raptors are banking on stability at the 5, and the numbers with him on the court versus off the last couple of years. Well, you know, it's being losing seasons, but they need him. They thrive with him. He's also coming off of his best offensive year of his career. I am okay with the Yak contract. I understand you have to overpay a little bit. I love that the final year of his deal is guaranteed only $5 million.
That saves it a bit.
It saves it a
Otherwise,
lot.
I was very confused about the terms of that deal.
He's the guy I'm not worried about. And that's the irony, right?
Well,
Like,
at least 'cause he's steady. Like, you understand kind of what you're getting from him,
give
right?
him the money. Everyone else is a wild card. Everyone else. Manuel Quickly, you're going to have to justify that contract,
Yeah.
dude. That is a lot of money for Manuel Quickly. RJ Barrett, highest score in the Raptors last year,
He's
21
he's
points a
actually
game.
an all right
Yeah, his contract's
contract
fine.
based on the other guy.
Pretty solid, young, like, man, if you just look at RJ Barrett just on like a cap sheet, you're like, wait, third overall picked, 24 years old,
Yeah.
21 points a game. Like that, he should be a very valuable asset. Yet there's no indications that's the case.
And I know he had a bad playoff, but like, would you rather pay Ty Jerome what you're paying or Quickly $30 million? Like,
So Quickly is the biggest guy. Wes alluded to Brandon Ingram. We haven't
That's the
even
big-
watched this guy play. Scotty Barnes. Hey man, the honeymoon's over. Your extension is kicked in.
Yeah.
Are you gonna justify the max contract that you were given? Like last year when he was chasing all NBA, chasing ghosts, quite frankly.
not even close.
You sunk your percentages in the process.
And you know, this is a good time to point out Rookie of the Year during his class. Oh, you should have drafted him first of all. Cade takes the leap last year. Evan Mobley, DPOY last year. Jalen Suggs had a great year last year until he got hurt. So now you're saying, like, you know, 1 year in, oh, Scotty Barnes, he should have been first overall pick in that class. Well, I would argue all of his other cohorts jumped ahead of him now. Franz in that draft too.
I'm not putting Suggs ahead of Barnes.
No, but what I'm saying is they all took a leap.
Yeah, for
Did
sure.
Scotty take a leap last year?
But-
Not really.
No, but-
so this year, it's a big year for him.
I agree. I will say this. I don't think he was done any favors by the setup of this team. I don't think they've catered to the things he does well. You can't give Barnes a clogged toilet offensively and say, go to work, pal, when the paint is packed, Pirtle doesn't get out of the way. Like, at least give him guys who can shoot. Just space the floor for him a little. Well, I'm just saying, like, you have to kind of tailor his skill set.
But they have, so we're going into next year, and that same situation still exists, though.
I'm a little disappointed in you. You know why? Because when it comes to fantasy, you always convince yourself your mediocre teams can win. Well, how come you're not doing this for the Raps, man? How come you're not pumping up the Raps tires?
Hold on. First of all, mediocre team. I won the Hambone title last year, first regular season, and then lost in the finals to you. So I don't know what you're talking about. But in a bad East, if everything breaks right for this Raps team, they can be a 6 seed. You can win 46 games and be a 6 seed.
I think they could,
Sure.
I think they could be all right.
But everything you just said, that situation still exists for Scotty this year. He's still in that bad situation.
Well, I mean, let's see how Ingram plays.
Yeah.
Right? Let's
Huge
see.
wild card.
Such a
Ingram,
big
if
question
Ingram kind of buys into what Darko does and is willing to maybe play a little more of a spacing role, because he can shoot it. He can shoot the 3. Will he catch and shoot a little bit more? I want to see what he does. Does he move off the ball a little bit? If Ingram's going to be insistent on, get me the ball at the nail, jab, 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 turn around
You
and
mean
fire.
what he's done
On occasion.
No, that's fine when it's tied in the 4th with 2 minutes
Yeah.
left, but over the flow of a game, I want to see
And then
how
on
it works.
top of that, does he show more competency on the defensive end?
Yeah.
I don't know if Darko has that in him to coach up a guy who's been in the league for that many years already, but imagine he does. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now the team has an identity because the Raptors brought this near the second half of the year. They really started to show a defensive identity first. CMB. This is another guy that brings that side of the ball. To me, ideally, that is what the Raptors team is next year. They are a defense-led team first that happens to have enough offense that they can actually stay in game.
And we saw a little bit of that down the stretch of last season.
The numbers proved it out.
On top of all the wild cards, Darko Rajakovic, can you implement a system that employs all these guys to hum at a high level? I actually am very in favor of the Raptors' depth. I like their young guys. I like
fun. They're
Mobile. I like
fun
CMB,
team, yeah.
Jacoby Walter.
It's on
I saw
Darko.
something else,
Yeah.
Jamal Shed. So Darko's got to implement that system. He's got to play these guys around. I just don't want to see some of the coddling that I think we saw a little bit of, especially when it comes to Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
If he's not having a good game, pull that dude out off the court. I think the way the Raptors kind of played him down the stretch left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. That's why I'm going to go back to Scotty.
Yeah.
It's on you, man. It's
Yeah,
on
it is.
you.
It-
You got
it-
the keys now.
It is. And you know what? I think, to your point, if things break right, I think they can be an over 500 team in this
Yeah.
East and fight for a playoff spot. And I think that's an all right place to be next year.
So let's put our friends at FanDuel on the spot. What is their win total? What?
38
let's
and a
say-
half.
37 and a
that
half.
low?
37 and
Yeah,
a half.
I put them
Well,
like
that's
right-
that's almost you're essentially calling them a close to 500
Yeah,
team,
I
right?
was gonna
Yeah.
say probably a 500 team. I probably call them a 500
in
team.
this East with this group, and considering how no one else in the East really improved.
I don't buy that argument.
Well, no. Well, the Hawks improved.
Yes, the Hawks
I mean,
Magic
the
Orlando
Magic
improved.
improved.
Yeah.
Orlando
Okay.
improved.
The Pacers are taking a step back. Who knows with the Heat?
I
Who
guess
knows with the
technically you
Bulls?
could say the Bucks have improved for next season.
For next
What-
season, yes.
season they
We could
have.
talk about their future.
But yeah,
but
I think
yes.
if, I was gonna say like 43 and a half.
No, that's
Okay, so
Whoa,
that's
that's
optimistic.
I know, but like, dude,
no 38.
We
and a
can
half.
middle that somehow.
Yeah, if
but
you,
like, yeah.
if you believe that, then bet it. Like, bet a lot
Oh, so
on
if
whatever
it's,
the line
if it's like
comes out.
37 and a half, I will hammer that.
That is my read.
I feel like if this team is if you're below 500, then fire sale, everybody's got to go, because this current ownership group, I don't think, will be happy paying the tax on an under 500 team.
I also think that, well, for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think that, Barrett could still get moved through at some point throughout the year, right?
Yeah.
It seems like he was the guy who was reported to be on the block. They couldn't find anything. I don't know if they have any interest in paying him, and his contract's coming up in 2 years. So
Yeah.
is he a move that, can you get a power forward for him? Or can you get maybe another like pure shooter for him? Something to just balance his team out a little bit. But I think you roll them out there and see how it looks.
Yeah, you're going to take a look at how things go. I think the Raptors will, so right now they're slightly above the tax. They will enter the year above the tax. It's not going to count against your cap
It
until
goes
the
till
end of the year.
yeah.
So they can do a quick contract dump in like February and get under it. They can do, depending on how the season goes. I think that's a sound strategy. I think it's going to be quiet for the rest of the offseason. I mean, we'll see. Who knows? I think it'll be very, very quiet. But if we're doing a full like recap of this whole situation, life without Masai and all that, I think he left the Raptors in a pretty weird spot. I think the moves that he made after
Bad
Tampa.
spot. It's not. It can't.
Oh, okay, bad spot.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot
If you're
worse.
saying their win total going into
No.
next year's tax-paying team is 37 and a half, how is that a good spot?
Okay, but I think you still have players you can move if you have to, and you have your draft picks. You could be the Bucks. You could be paying Damian
Yes.
Lillard $20 million a year for 5 years to not be on the court.
Insane.
You could have no picks for the next six years. Like, I'm just saying, there are worse situations.
They're
you
not
could be
the
in.
Bucks. You're definitely, to your point earlier, Fab, you're paying a premium pretty much across the board to
Yeah.
all these guys. And I know that's the Toronto tax. I get it. It's not a winning team, so why are players
Yeah.
going to do that? But just the way everything kind of ended with Siakam, Eastern Conference MVP, the way things ended with OG, a fulcrum part of New York, like that gives them a defensive identity, the way things ended with Freddie, a lot of checkered decisions that ultimately led to the last 2 years
Let's go a
of
little
losing.
further. I saw Davion Mitchell get a nice little contract with the Heat.
I don't want to gaslight these guys,
No,
but
so I think-
Davion Mitchell is a
get-
bull.
And guess what? The Heat suck.
Yeah.
So good
But
for
I
him.
mean, I
Who's
think
better
the
this year?
lasting
Who
who
legacy
cares?
of
They're
Masai is
both.
that.
It's a mid off, man.
Yeah.
What do you? Like,
I think the
can
lasting
guard, baby.
legacy of Masai is that he is ultimately the one who planted the flag as Scotty being the
Yes.
next of
And
this
that
team.
was the-
And he has to live with that decision. I'm not sure if that's going to be how things play out for the Raptors in the years to come.
This year,
Masai's the one who made that call, and that's the legacy.
They rolled out the red
Well,
carpet for Scotty Barnes.
just to put a kind of a Masai, thank you for the chip. I don't want to be ungrateful, man. Like,
We're
I
not.
never thought the Raptors would ever win one. So that's his legacy
Amazing.
to me. I don't care about the post titles. I mean, I do, but I'll always remember the title, and he's the guy who was the architect.
Like,
of
you
that.
have to
So-
remember, this is a pot of 40-year-old guys, all right? So, like, we've
Whoa.
seen it from the
No,
very
hold on,
beginning.
I ain't
But
there
hold on,
yet.
let me just go through some of the things.
Also,
he
Fab's
did.
not there yet.
Let me
Come on.
let me
Take a
We're
breath.
around there. We're around there.
give me a few more months.
He's checking.
Yeah.
Post title, just a few things that Norm Powell for Gary Trent.
Woof.
Woof. Lowry trade to the Heat. That didn't turn out well.
Yeah.
Hey, but they got the Dragic asset.
Yeah.
But the Dragic asset, yeah, that was an asset. First round pick for Thad Young.
Nope.
Nope. Pirtle trade, and this is where this will be the watershed. I can't believe you did that, and this is what I can't forgive.
Yeah.
Is the Wemby year?
You double down on.
You
being
double
bad there.
down
You
on the
have to.
team. We've been through this a million times, but man, you could have ended up with like an Amon Thompson. and instead you chase the play-in.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I understand what you're saying.
But it's not revisionist history. This was in real time. We said this.
Yeah.
Right.
There was this debate, yes.
So we're not looking back and saying, "Oh, how could he have done that?" No, in real time, we're like,
But-
"Man, you're 5th from the bottom."
But it would have been like a 7 to like 15% chance.
I know.
Sure.
Right, okay.
At Wembanyama.
But okay, and also
I might like to get in the top 4.
let's
Wembanyama would have been way
let's
less.
also now, and we kind of talked about this as we saw in these playoffs. Look at the 3 guys you mentioned.
Yeah.
Siakam, OG, Fred.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tell me, say you somehow just like keep that team together, and with Scotty, that's one of the best teams in the East this year.
But those guys were alienated due
because
to
of
how
those-
much they rolled out the red
But
carpet
they
for
should,
Scotty
and that's what I'm saying. If you say instead you say Scotty, look at this championship core. You blend and immerse yourself.
Yes,
in
they
this
did not do that.
championship
But also,
core.
what they should have really done, if we're playing this revisionist history,
which
is
we are.
trade Scotty Barnes back in the day when it was rumored
Wow.
for Kevin Durant.
Wow,
the Kevin,
crazy.
the
And then
Kevin
you add
Durant
KD to those
stuff,
3.
and then you add KD to Freddie, OG, Pascal. That's a different team altogether.
You know what
but,
though? That core though of Fred, OG, Siak, I'm not giving them any passes, man. They had a chance. Sorry that you were threatened by this rookie and you were upset because they were trying to make him the start of the team. You guys didn't have it.
Yeah, but no,
you
that-
didn't,
but they-
you
hold
didn't,
on.
you
That-
didn't have it.
That
okay?
Philly
2, 3,
series,
and 4
that
out.
Philly series was like I don't know. I feel like you
Fred
can't-
broke down. Siakam started playing well when they were down 3-0.
OG
Cool. OG had
disappeared
the
in
worst
game
game
6.
6 I've ever
Yep.
seen.
Yep.
So listen, man, they were great players who needed an alpha with them.
Gary was sick. Scotty had the triple double in that one game, and they hurt his ankle.
Listen, they were a perfect team when you had Kawhi.
Yeah.
That was the
so
perfect
that's
group,
my
right?
point. That's my point around it, right?
Yeah, so
it's
bringing
like,
Kawhi and KD.
So you had Freddie, Pascal, OG. Really, I would say a really good 2 to 4.
Yeah.
You just needed the guy.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to crown Scotty as that guy. And the other guys weren't going to wait around for it. Maybe they wanted to get paid, and then like there wasn't enough money to go around. They looked at it like, to me, when you had those guys, you had to make a decision. You lucked into Scotty Barnes. The Raptors chose, Masai chose to build around Scotty. I think alienated those other guys, and it led to a series of moves after the title that were not great.
But Brooklyn also, like, they would have asked for a lot of other draft capital, and look what Phoenix ended up giving them.
I think Scotty
So
would have been enough.
Phoenix lost that deal.
I think Scotty plus limited draft
yeah.
capital
I don't know
may have been
exactly what that would have meant.
And also,
out
let's
to,
just also make a point. If Kawhi doesn't decide to leave, this team goes back to back,
Oh, he
wins the
should've-
bubble title,
Oh, yeah.
and then that changes everything.
Well, he got for that decision too. Everything that's happened to him in LA since then. He should have signed a 1-1, but that
But
was
was that a failure on Masai's part to not be able to keep Kawhi?
No,
I don't
I'm
think
just
so.
throwing it out there.
I
I'm not
don't
saying
think
it
so.
is. I'm just saying.
I'll blame him a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
I'll blame him a
Why
little
though?
bit.
No, Masai did everything,
There's two-
everything possible to
Sell the
keep him
vision.
healthy and lead to a title, and they won the title and he was healthy.
Kawhi and MJ are the only two guys to leave a championship team and not run it back. And MJ retired.
MJ was forced
So
out. Yeah.
Kawhi, one
And
of one.
But
That's
realistically,
Kawhi. That's on
if
Kawhi.
Krause isn't the GM, then
Yeah,
MJ's
exactly.
probably back too. Okay, let's go. That was just a lot of time on the Raptors for a team that didn't really do anything during free agency.
Mamu.
Yeah,
Mamu.
exactly.
Let's go, baby.
Garrett Temple's back, man.
Garrett Temple, man. Respect.
Who's your biggest winner so far? I think. Do you want to start winners or losers? Because I think
I'm a cynical
Winner.
person. No, I want to go losers.
I want to go negative.
Because just to start, I mean, there are some obvious winners. I'm gonna go losers. I'm gonna go in one loser in particular, the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
You made the finals last year, and I understand Tyrese Halliburton's injury kind of changed the
A little bit.
It changed a lot of how they should tackle things. I'm
a bit.
not discounting that, but I have a real problem with a team that's made it that far, that has employed a lot of younger players, that just tasted a lot of success. 2 conference finals appearances the last few years, including a finals appearance, and you cheap out on Miles Turner. All the reports say that they were offering him 3 years, 20, so 3 years, 60 million, 20 mil per.
365-ish.
No, that's disrespectful. I agree that Miles Turner fell off offensively in the finals. However, locked up Chet Holmgren pretty good on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
If you were going to cheap out on Miles Turner, I think there was a way to do that while keeping him, while remaining under the tax. God forbid Indiana goes into tax. Herb Simon, these billionaire owners.
Wes, I have no idea what he's talking about, bro.
Clutched it.
Someone's not going back to Indy.
Yo, it's like, what are we
You
doing?
literally sat in his box.
Sign this dude to a longer term deal with the money a little less in the short term in order to keep this core going. And if, to your point, because I know you're going to argue me on this, Fab, if he is a depreciating asset, I still think you can get something for him down the road if things fall off a cliff even further.
Let me just do one counter.
Sure.
How much do you think the Pacers were blindsided by this? Because they looked around at the rest of the league and saw that there was no one who could really offer him the money. And then when the Bucks did that, they were sort of blindsided. And if they would have known Milwaukee could have done that, then they wouldn't have cheapened out with their first offer.
It's their job to know.
Did anybody think the Bucks were in play?
I think to me, once agents talk, teams figure it out. I think once Naz Reid got $525,
That changed everything.
but what you can do with Turner is say, hey, we want you here long term. We need to get under the tax this first year because of Halliburton's injury. We'll give you less, and it'll be 10%
But
raises
I
throughout.
do get your point. They don't need
We'll
to
give
get
you a
out of tax.
player option on the
They've
fifth
never
year.
once paid the tax. This isn't Boston.
It's a joke.
And you're limited by second apron. You're not even paying the luxury tax.
It's a joke. I have no time for these owners, these billionaires who do not pay a tax, especially on a team that just made the finals and lost in game seven.
I think they would have gone into the tax if Halliburton didn't tear his Achilles. I mean, that's a year lost, and you're signing a center who's going north of 30. And like, I don't know, based on how Indy's built their team right now, I'll give their management the benefit of the doubt because they've done really good business.
I have nothing against Kevin Pritchard and like what
Yeah.
they've been able to do.
Yeah.
I have something against ownership.
Yeah, was this ownership saying don't pay the
has to
tax
be
or
ownership.
But it's
Has-
a year of that Turner is just a waste, right? Like they're not winning anything.
Why?
This year. Halliburton's out. They're not winning anything.
But Pascal Siakam said when he got there, he's like, I've been waiting to play with a stretch five my whole career. Like,
Yeah.
Pascal's still there. You
it's-
just signed him to an extension. Get something out of other guys. Empower other players. Keep your team intact.
The reported difference in salary is a little bit insulting too. I agree.
Yeah.
Like it was like a few $1,000,000 that you weren't willing to go
Who's
into.
replacing Turner?
But okay, can we? I think the Bucks signing like what?
No,
What-
yeah.
What, like I don't even know what this is anymore.
So they
Desperation.
had an opportunity to completely reset their franchise.
They should have.
And they tripled down on whatever it takes for Giannis. I think I heard this. They still haven't even paid off the Drew Holiday trade, let alone the Lillard trade. No picks until 2030. He's on the books until 2030. You just
$23
sewer
million.
your entire franchise for the next 5 years to keep Giannis, and then a year from now, Giannis is just still going to be pissed and realize there's no future, and then you're going to still have to move him anyways.
the Lillard stretch provision, like that's absolutely insane to me. I've never seen anything like that to that level. Like, dude, that's eating away at your cap space for years.
It's a $23 million player for 5 years that isn't on your team.
like
And you no longer have any picks controlled.
how? I mean,
You had to give away a couple picks to offload Pat Connaughton.
John Horst was just extended, was he not?
He doesn't
He was,
make
yeah.
he doesn't make this move without assurances. I think to me the Bucks are a drowning franchise, and
They've
what's-
been frauds.
They're frauds, and now it's like you're trying everything you can to pick up the pieces, but you still have Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner.
No
Those are your
backcourt.
fourth best players.
No backcourt.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Kevin Porter Jr.
starter.
just started.
Even him,
point
what did
guard.
he got $5 or $6 mil? I think. What?
It's a
What
team
the
that's
hell is that?
desperate. It reeks of desperation. You've just essentially just yourself with the cap for the next like 4 or 5 years with this Dame stretch, and you're trying your best to please Giannis. And I actually kind of blame a little bit of this on Giannis.
Yeah.
If you tell the franchise, hey, I want to go this direction, I want to go that direction. I think he's held their feet over the fire a lot. I think they had to make that rush trade for Dame Lillard last year. I think that was also a misguided move.
Yeah.
Only because I think they didn't have a championship roster then either.
Yeah.
But Giannis keeps putting this weird soft pressure on them where they have to keep trying to be a
But
championship
you
contender.
need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, if we make this move, we are not any closer to a title team. We have the opportunity to press the reset button. Giannis, thank you for your title. We want to give you another opportunity, and let's
the
completely
Bucks
reset
will
this whole
never
thing.
get another player like, I would say never, but they
they
had
could.
Kareem and Oscar Robertson in the late 70s. They're not going to get another guy like Giannis. You can safely say, I think it's very hard to find a top 3-5 player on any roster for the next like 10, 15 years, right? Unless they get some crazy luck in the draft.
They're selling themselves.
I get why they're desperate.
They're selling themselves hope that the East is weakened and they have Giannis and they can make a run. But the GM should say, Giannis, we need to move on from you.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like we need to reboot. It's for our sake, not your sake.
Yeah.
So biggest loser for me, Bucks.
Same, I'm agreed. Bucks are my biggest.
Or Pelicans if you want to go back to draft day.
The chalk one is Pelicans. I was gonna say that. I don't have to go too far into it, but I just want to point out Jack Armstrong once said on broadcast, "You can't fleece any teams in the NBA anymore." Yeah, you can. Joe Dumars is there with 3 phones in New Orleans right now, all right? I think they absolutely are in terrible shape, and it's all about fit. So that's going to be fun to watch that train wreck this year. I'm not even going to go through what they went through. You're going to see it. It's going to be a disaster this year, and I can't wait to watch it. The Raptors technically got a little bit in on that. Like, again, I pointed out earlier, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, they went there for Brandon Ingram. What ended up with those guys? They ended up being nothing for them. So that's an organization. Like, if this is a poker table right now and there are 30 players at the table, oh, man.
Bells.
You know, you can't spot the fish. Oh, I'm staring at the Pelicans right now. They're absolutely the team that you'd be trying to
just blind raising their
chip
big
away,
blind, yeah.
chip away at whatever good things that they have, and just try to rope something from them. New Orleans is going to be a disaster. Maybe Zion? Is Zion to the Raps?
Now,
who knows?
That'd be interesting.
in terms of winners, I got to go Denver. In terms of a fit, guys that will work around Jokic, getting out of the MPJ money. Like, I don't know. No one really won free agency to me outside of Denver.
I'd say, I think Denver did a job. I would say Houston's the other team.
course.
Well, but sorry. I'm thinking more recent, obviously, with KD.
No.
Houston's
Just
up
because it
there.
happened early in the finals, it still counts.
Yeah,
it still counts.
I think pillaging DFS from the Lakers, like that's a
Oh, yeah.
twofold
That's
move, right?
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Do we want to go into Lakers at all? Like, is LeBron still?
You're in trouble.
I know you.
But we don't have an hour.
This ain't ESPN.
don't have an
all
hour,
right? This
man.
ain't the first 3 blocks of
think
ESPN.
LeBron's a
right?
40-year-old who plays on the 8th best team in the West.
Well, but will he still be? Will he be a month?
Well, he opted
will.
in.
I know.
So if you're unhappy, don't opt in, brother.
It's easier to move to a team you want by opting in than it is by opting out.
I just wanted to piggyback Denver just because I think we need to don't lose sight of the fact that they went 7 with the Thunder last year.
Oh, no,
and
no,
what was the
that's
thing? It was, man, if they had one more guy, they're just a little short on body.
Yeah.
So
They got 3-4 more
they get
guys.
they get more
great.
flexible. Cam for MPJ. Bruce Brown, who I feel like is still a good player and has been chilling, collecting money for
Yes.
2 years.
Yes.
I think
Valanciunas.
Valanciunas.
JV's
I
a great
love-
swap.
I love-
That's a
good-
great swap for
good-
Sarge.
Good backup big. So
Perfect.
I think they're back. I think they're going to be in the mix as one of. I think you got to say OKC's the favorite, and I think Houston, Denver are the
Yep.
two teams right underneath.
And I think
them.
Denver is actually poised. So I've already bet them to win the West.
16-1, baby.
That's
It's
like
8-1
it's
now.
now shortened as
Yeah.
like crazy. So I would put some money down on Denver to win the West. I think there's good value there. If you want to get frisky and bet them win the title, go for it. I think you're also expecting a lot of internal growth.
The West is the title. If you're betting win the West, you just bet the title.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in that case, sure. But yeah, I mean, but I'm almost like worried like the teams in the West go through a gauntlet and then someone in the East is just
Who's
fresh as
that?
a daisy.
Someone in the East?
Orlando.
The New York Knicks,
York?
baby.
Come on.
Jordan
Orlando, New
Clarkson,
York?
Never know.
Yabusele.
Never
Interesting.
know.
Yeah, New
Knicks
York's
actually,
okay.
I mean,
I know,
Knicks
Knicks
actually
got
look a
better.
little bit better.
Knicks are
Okay.
better for sure.
But but like Denver, you like Peyton Watson, I expect improvement.
If he
Strother, I
he-
expect improvement.
Watson definitely needs to grow as a shooter. If he does, I think that's
Watson's
a
great.
lights out
Bunnies.
player.
A year without the tension of your front office too. We
Help.
saw that like I don't know.
But isn't this what Michael Malone wanted?
Yes.
Hey, give me rotation players.
Yeah.
And Calvin Booth was insistent on giving him young guys.
Yeah, but that power dynamic.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you can't blame Malone for the bench.
No,
he had,
not
right?
blaming
Like,
Malone, but like this is apparently that tension was a drain
Sure,
on
for sure.
them the whole season, and we kind of saw it when they looked like a new team for the playoffs. And like I'm telling you, you stop that game at the first quarter, that OKC game 7. It's like who's winning the title?
It was,
You're-
it was a game. That game 5 comeback from
Yeah.
OKC, man, that may have swung the entire
did.
title.
It did swing,
right?
yeah.
They
So
look
if-
great. They're in good shape.
So if you want to flip it to the East, we mentioned the Knicks.
Well, my best winner is Orlando. I still think Orlando is the
trade.
best winner. I think Desmond Bane is a perfect fit for all the flaws and weaknesses that team has. Like, I think they're still a year early. You know, I think they're just a bit too young. But the 3 guys that they have there with Bane as their vet.
well, a healthy Suggs too. That's
That's what I'm saying. But he's 23.
And I
That's
like
what I'm saying.
I like
Like,
young.
like last year,
They're young.
It all
And
depends
Tyus
on
Jones.
It all depends on Paolo, though.
Yeah.
It all depends.
So-
What do you think Paolo can be top 15?
I
So
think so.
I just like what they've done. I think Bane at the age, at the price, is a perfect fit for these guys to grow. I'm not saying they're winning everything this year. They're not. But I think 2 years from now, they're going to be very
I
difficult.
think
I
they're
think Orlando could
striking.
win the East though. That's not crazy to say
I
Orlando
think
could win the
it's.
East.
I think that'd be early. I think Orlando 2 years, 3 years from now is a better team than next year.
Okay, so
that's
then
my
let's
whole
just-
point.
Let's finish on this. Who's the best team in the East right now?
Ooh, I think it's New York.
Which is, to me, is like, that's not a.
Go on.
No. The fact that it is New York tells me the answer is that the East is just wide open and anybody
well,
can win it.
We know that the Cavs are frauds.
I
We've
mean,
been
the-
saying it here
the
for
Cavs,
months.
They're the default best team, I guess.
In the regular
I don't feel
season.
great about it, but
The
yeah,
regular season.
they probably
But they're
are.
not going to win the playoffs.
Well, until they have LeBron.
Well, you.
Is that it?
That's if we're getting to LeBron to Cleveland talk, that's time to wrap it up. That's it for us for the year. We'll check back in again in October.
Thanks for listening.